All right, let's try this again. Hopefully, everybody's having a good evening as we're just starting off at our 8 p.m. live. Once again, greatly appreciate everybody that's slowly probably coming in, whatever the first difficulty was that we had there, but we got it all fixed. Once again, thank you guys for joining in. Hopefully, you guys have had a great week so far. Hopefully, you've had a good weekend as we're just starting out the week. And of course, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Pokemon investing versus speculation. What's the difference? Because I had a really interesting conversation that I thought would be really fun to kind of elaborate on. Once again, seeing that elaboration sometimes and seeing an individual talking. Hopefully they join the live. That'd be really nice to actually have them on here. Because, you know, having discussion back and forth is always a good thing. And I'll never complain about it. But there are differences between speculation and, of course, investing. And there's big differences between them. So today we're going to kick that off and talk about it. I'm going to give it just a couple minutes as we're starting off here. Before we really get in a rant, I know that I screwed up and somehow had the live as private, and I think it's it's public now. So we should be good to go. Hopefully, like I said, as you guys come in and chat, make sure you guys say hi. Make sure you throw up some signs that people are out there. I see we got a couple people going, and YouTube's still acting a little weird in general, so hopefully it kind of straightens out here. Because even like now, I can't see any analytics, anything. So if anybody's out there, make sure you guys let me know that you're here. Just in case this thing isn't working for whatever reason again. Otherwise, like I said, hopefully we had a good, having a good week so far as we're getting into Tuesday. Of course, end of the day Tuesday, good, and then the hump day. Hump day, of course, already here. It's hard to believe this week's already going by that quick. Of course, remember everybody, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so don't get yourself in trouble. Listen to Pokemon content and not remember your significant others. So, as we get started here, I'm just giving it a couple minutes. Apparently, I had something set on private. I don't know how this stream got put on private, but I apologize for that. Typically, I try and put it up a couple hours beforehand, and I thought I did. So we had to kick out the first stream and do this one. Always, like I said, we're just going to give it a couple minutes. Make sure you guys like the stream, too. Help out the stream. Make sure everything's going good there. Otherwise, like I said, we're just kind of kicking in, getting started here. Hey, Aaron, thank you so much for letting me know someone's out there. I was starting to question whether or not there was anybody home. So, because right now, my YouTube screen is completely blank. I have nothing. Like, I can't see my analytics, I can't see my viewer activity, I can't see stream health, I can't see nothing. So, once again, thanks for the like, greatly appreciate it as we're getting started here for tonight. Thank you so much for hitting the hearts and celebrations. So, yeah, like I said, so today we're going to be talking about, hi, FOMO, thank you so much for joining, greatly appreciated. So today I wanted to sit here and talk about, so I got the definition here of investing and speculation, because I had a really good conversation with a person, and God bless him, he's trying to sit there and equate everything into farming, as if farming isn't completely speculation, which I found to be very funny that he was trying to compare it to farming, because farming is speculation. Whether you buy a farm, whether you're raising animals or grain farming, we all call it speculation. There's no such thing as an investment on a farm, except for probably the land you own, because the equipment loses value, the buildings lose value, the animals are a crapshoot, the crops are a crapshoot. I mean, there's nothing really in there that's considering investing except for the land purchase itself. So, you know, like I said, God bless them for trying. It was fun, but it was a good conversation because, you know, I think there's a lot of interesting concepts when it comes down to what is investing and what is speculation. What's the difference between those two terms, and what does it actually mean when it comes down to Pokemon or even TCGs or collectibles in general? Those are always the different things that we have to talk about and look at when you're discussing things. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the actual definition of what speculation and investing is. And here's going to be the definition from the LinkedIn. So this is investing versus speculation. So this is a definition that's out there, and this is very common to what I've heard everything. The only thing it really changes is what speculation really is. But this was the cleanest version I could find. And then the definition that comes up here on this is, at its core, investing is about buying assets that have a reasonable expectation of generating a return over time, while speculation is more about taking risks in the hope of making a quick profit. And so the quick profit change is what I've heard kind of change a little bit depending on what site and where you talked about it. But in general, investing is just that. You are buying into something with the expectation that you're going to make money, that it's going to have a return, over time or over a period of time. You're going to see a return on the particular product or item, investment, collectible, stock, or bond, or any of these particular items. And when it comes on speculation tends to be really high risk. So when we're looking at the Pokemon TCG and you really break it down, is Pokemon investing into sealed booster boxes, investing into packs and cards and Pokemon, is that investing or speculation? Well, to me, and once again, this is where you could also make the claim that it depends on your point of view. To me, Pokemon is an investment. And the reason that I'm going to say that, I know some people flip flop between speculation and investment and investing into Pokemon. The reason that I'm going to say that it is an investment is because we have a track history of Pokemon. We have over 25 years of track history in the Pokemon TCG, and of that course and of that line of Pokemon TCG, we have seen Pokemon continue to do the same kind of performances, some fast, some slow. We have Black Swan events that cause great acceleration in time. That gives people opportunity to build businesses in it, to go full time, to break away from their standard areas and how they've performed in the past. We've also had times in Pokemon where the gains significantly slow down. We can look through history and see areas where we've had really big slowdowns, but in general, the expectation is there in Pokemon for the last 25 years, in any 5 to 10 year period, that there have been growth and gains in every spectrum of the Pokemon TCG. Granted, it's not huge gains sometimes, but it is still gains, and we have that expectation that over time the gains continue to go up. And what percentages is all, relative to the time period in Pokemon. But once again, that tells you over 25 to 26 plus years that we are continuing to see a very stable growth in the Pokemon TCG. And to me, that is indicative with those kind of words is investment is that you see growth, it's stable, we have track history, you can see the company and how well it's performed. It's just like buying a stock, right? We invest in stocks, we invest in the stock market, we invest in 401ks, we even invest into stable businesses such as Google, Facebook, Microsoft, all of these things, because they have proven track record for years that they are able to maintain themselves. Now, speculating, and iFOMO just hit it here in the chat, and thank you for putting that up there. The word is quick. So when I'm buying Pokemon products as speculating, a lot of times those are those high risk products. That's where you're buying like the, collection, that collection box that just came out, the Pokemon Classic Collection, and you're breaking that down and you're quickly trying to make money off it, but you're making a speculation that the cards in there at a PSA 10 or 9 or 10 are going to make you profit, and there's going to be speculating. So in every market, they're still speculating, and overall, even in Pokemon, they're speculating. It's not gone. But if you're talking about sealed products and you're talking about buying booster boxes, those more long-track, longevity items, you can see that that's more investing because there is a track record. There's a history of performance, and overall, there is a history of results when it comes down to these particular products over the last 26 plus years. Now, looking at that in the collectibles, are there areas that you could say are actually the other way? Are there speculating things? And I would say yes. A lot of these newer TCGs, MetaZoo to me was speculating. You were hoping that you were going to see gains and performances out of MetaZoo. You were hoping for quick flips. One Piece is showing a lot of speculating, in my opinion. They're doing that quick turnaround. Investors are trying to make money quickly. So they're speculating on the fact that this is going to do well over the time period. And once again, we're continually seeing people speculate on the overall performance. And that's where the speculating thing kind of changes. Some just say you're in it for a quick dollar. You're quickly trying to turn profit and money on that. But on the other hand, there are other places that just say speculating is high risk with no track history. And once again, you can look at that for MetaZoo, One Piece, Lucana right now, My Heroes Academia. All of those would be considered speculating because, number one, you're trying to potentially make a quick dollar on it on the startup and capitalize very quickly. Or number two, there's no track history. You are speculating that this TCG is going to make it, that it's going to be successful, and that it's going to continue to perform in the near future. So once you look at things and you actually break it down, overall, in general, I would say that Pokemon is more of an investing. You have, number one, a proven track history of the Pokemon TCG. Number two, you have a congruent gain on products all through Pokemon history, whether it's base set all the way through to current modern sets. So we can see gains. It's just the speed of which the gains occur, which is the same thing with any kind of market situation. Sometimes the gains are great, they move fast. Sometimes the gains slow down and they don't do so well. And that's just something that we have to deal with when you're looking at marketing. And it's the same with stocks. It's the same with business investments. It's the same with any of those. So long-term investments and moving forward are definitely going to be the investment side of things. I would say those quick flips. So like I said, if you're trying to be the first one out the gate with a Charizard by ripping a bunch of Paldean Fates when it first came out, or trying to get those chase cards right off the bat and trying to get them graded and get them back, you're speculating. That is absolutely speculating when it comes down to Pokemon. But if we're talking about investing and we're talking about long-term holds, we're putting things away for 3 to 5 years and we're just buying things, then you're not really speculating at that point. You're investing. You're hoping for the long-term game. You're playing the long-term routes, even if you're planning a year. So there's my opinion, there's three types of investment out there right now currently in the Pokemon TCG. There is the long-term, and those are people that just buy products and put them away on the shelf, and they don't care what happens between point A and point B. They're sitting for 5 to 7 years, 10, 15 years, whatever their time frame is that they've chosen, and they're waiting for that time period to take it back out and sell it. They don't care what happens in that time frame. They're not watching the markets. They're not being sure that they're performing at a certain way. All that they care about is that they are performing and they're doing the one direction and one direction only, and that they're continuing to just forget about them. Then you've got the people that are actively looking at stuff. So they've got a certain dollar amount that they're looking for. They're watching their products and they're watching using Pokemon or Pokedata.io. They're using some kind of site, an Excel sheet. They're checking the prices over and over and over again. And they are sitting there continually watching it and picking a point where they want to make a profit. So some people, they want to see it double in value. When it doubles in value, they sell no matter what. You got the people that are sitting there expecting it to go 30%. When it hits 30%, they sell out. They buy stuff so that they have the anticipation that they're going to buy or sell half of it when it hits 50% gain or 100% gain, and they're going to hold 50% of it for so many years. But they're actively watching that price and continuing to expect growth. And then there are the very active. The third group would be the super active people, the ones that are treating it as if it is a stock, as if they're a broker trying to maximize their profit on the stocks. And I've seen guys do this, and well, they'll buy like Chilling Reign at a very low price, and they'll buy Chilling Reign, and then when Chilling Reign it shoots to a price, it goes to like 150, like it has. Then they'll sit there and they'll sell it at 150 because it's not moving any longer, and then they'll try and find that next item that's got that high volatility and gain. So then they buy that product, and then they'll wait until that shoots, and when that shoots, then they'll watch Chilling Reign. And when Chilling Reign starts to move again, they'll buy Chilling Reign again and try and get back on the bandwagon. So they're constantly doing this time rollover all the time to try and maximize their profit and maximize their gains. So there are different points in the hobby where you sit there and see these individuals doing three really different ways of investing in the Pokemon TCG. Once again, speculating. There is points in the hobby where we speculate, and I think we all do it. I tend to back away a lot from speculating personally. I don't like high risk. Personal experiences in life just tell me that high risk just doesn't have the value sometimes. You can capitalize. You can have really good gains. You know, you could buy into one piece. If you bought into one piece right off the bat, yeah, you've got that one item, you know, the blue top boxes that are doing extremely well, and they've done extremely well through the last few years. And overall, I just see really good value in those particular boxes because of the fact that they are very specific. They're very individualized, and overall, they are very, very good at, you know, catching people's eye and having that attention. Does the rest of One Piece potentially hold that? There's always a chance. I mean, One Piece in general looks like it's doing extremely well. Bandai is always a wild card when it comes down to any of their TCGs. I mean, they could have one really good set and then completely go different route in the next set and completely get rid of that traction they had. There's always those things that could happen even on any of the TCGs. So overall, if we look at the history of things, I would say that you're speculating on One Piece. You were speculating on MetaZoo and its performance. You're speculating on My Heroes Academia if you're there, or Lucana if that's where you want to go. And you really need to be on your toes when it comes down to those, because in general, we see all of these things continually build, and they can change in a moment's notice. Bandai could always screw up One Piece and change, overprint all these products. They could definitely change the direction on how things are moving and change the way that they do the sets, like they've done on Dragon Ball Z. Pokemon is very, very repetitive. They come up with new alts, they come up with new artworks. Same with Magic, same with Yu-Gi-Oh. They really do stay consistent on their kind of their base setup, and then they can change like the full arts, the alternate arts. Those kind of things can happen. Serialized numbers and Magic, all of which are evident to how they perform futuristically and how they continue to perform. They do need to change with time, but if you look at, besides the silver borders now, the setups are pretty much the same in each one of those products. I mean, the basic parts of Pokemon have not changed. You've got the standard cards, you've got the standard mechanisms, and nothing really changes. But it'll be interesting to see on the speculating point of like One Piece, how well will it maintain over the next couple years? It's just over a year old, so it's really hard to know at this point in time. So once again, that's what I want to talk about, though. It's just the fact that I think there's some confusion on what speculating and what speculating and investment are. What's the difference between them? And is Pokemon investing? Yes, to me, Pokemon's investing. Is One Piece speculating? Yes, One Piece right now currently is speculating. So overall, there's just different outreaches, different ways of looking at it, and depending on how you look at it too. If you're arguing with someone or trying to make a point for one or the other, in a collectible, you could always be sitting there at the same point, having the same thought process that speculating is the same as investing. It's just a point of view based on how it is. To me, Pokemon's not speculating. It's pretty well track record, 25, 26 years of track record on a collectible to give us a side of it is definitely not going to be something that we're going to be concerned about falling apart. Is Pokemon going to go out of business in the next 5 years? Probably very unlikely. Something would have to drastically change in all of their particular areas, such as Japan, China, Taiwan, or Korean. We got Spanish, all European nations, all of which would have to have some pretty significant issues for Pokemon to fail at this point in time. It's not saying it can't happen. It's just not very likely. And overall, we've just seen continual growth in Pokemon over the last 26 years. So it's really not the same with, a lot of Magic products and a lot of Magic stuff. It's exactly the same thing. And we continue to see just really good, healthy growth in all of these markets. Yes, the last 3 years have been very accelerated. We've seen some tremendous growth, which just isn't normal. But we are also seeing some really good growth continuing on into 2024. The market's still doing well. Overall, the hobby's doing extremely well. And we're seeing some really good overall growth and expansion in Pokemon currently to continue moving forward into the future. So, once again, not worried about Pokemon in any way, shape, or form having issues. I think it's going to do really well in 2024. The economy might be the bigger breaking factor for Pokemon that'll slow it down. But I think the second that the economy comes out of whatever issues it's having, the overall macro economy, that Pokemon will pick up again right afterwards. It's a really popular hobby. A lot of people enjoy it. It's relaxing. It's fun. A lot of people do continue to come into it. We're seeing still people, I constantly see people saying that they're brand new and have questions and are continually coming into the hobby, whether it's in actual play. So being at the LGSs, we're seeing some really good tournament play growth. People are still coming in. We see new faces in there all the time, and that's a fantastic thing when it comes down to the growth factor in it. A lot more collectors. People are still coming in from their childhood. Pokemon 151 did a great job of bringing new people back in and growing that baseline hobby again. So we are seeing some good things in Pokemon. I'm not as fluent on Magic or on Yu-Gi-Oh, but from what I'm hearing, Magic is doing extremely well too. The last few sets have been really good. Seeing some good traction and seeing some really good growth. So overall, we are seeing some really good things even in Magic from what I'm hearing. Once again, that's just all my hearsay from people that play Magic, and same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Seems like it's staying pretty steady. Yu-Gi-Oh! Still has some really good tournaments in our area, and they're seeing growth also. So the big three, I would say Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Are all doing really well. One Piece is doing really well as a startup. Same with Lucana. Lucana is really cool when it comes down to the speculating point because they've opened up a whole new market, which I think is fantastic. And we've talked about that before. I've talked about it with Josh. Overall, I think that that Lucana's got a new market share with the women and girls. Young girls, women, have really clung to Lucana and they really enjoy it and they play it, which is really, really cool. That's a whole new market base that Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon do not grab. Even One Piece does not grab that market like Lucana does. So Lucana is growing and building a whole new community of people that aren't in the other ones. And that's a really interesting aspect of Lucana, which will be interesting to see if they can maintain that and if they can keep that growth going forward. That's going to be the really interesting part for Lucana on how well it will perform in the future. So, like I said, I usually do 20 minutes, guys. As always, I'm at 21 minutes right now. So, thank you guys for putting up with me. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Is Pokemon speculating, or are we still at the speculative story of Pokemon, or would you say that we've made it to an investment stance? Have we gone from being quick money to having long-term investments in Pokemon, or is it all just speculation? And from your perspective, I'm just kind of curious to hear what you guys have to say. My stance is that it's not speculating anymore. It's investment. We have track history. We have overall showing how well it's performing, and we can look back on history and see what the performance has been over the last 26 years. You got 26 years of history. To me, it's really hard to say you're speculating at that point when you have previous data showing how it performs. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go through the chat, just acknowledge some people here. We're going to kind of work down the questions like I always do in the statements and see where we're at. So here we go. We're going to start out, like I said, Aaron Scott, thank you so much for joining in. I FOMO, greatly appreciated for being here as always. Aaron Scott, so I FOMO, I caught yours. Pika Pika, thank you so much for joining in. Greatly appreciated. Glad to see you here. Down to Tom. I'm so confused I'm buying a Fusion Strike booster box right now. We all are. It was sold out on Pokemon Center. It shot straight up like it did with Chilling Reign when it sold out on Pokemon Center. And then all of a sudden, Pokemon Center came up with more. And they all of a sudden had more stock again. So I'm very confused, but, it is what it is. It just shows you, to me, it shows you the potential of these particular products and when they do sell out on Pokemon Center. I do truly feel that a lot of these booster boxes are just hindered by the fact that they're still in stock. When they sold out on Pokemon Center, I was not surprised to see that the Fusion Strike shot up, but now it came back in stock, and now Fusion Strike has been corralled back down again. So until it sells out again, it's going to be really interesting to see how long that happens or when it happens and what the performance will be on TCG Player as we move forward. Moving in, I'm not even going to try and say your name, but thank you for joining. I'm going to read your comment here. Do you think buying first edition PSA Hollow or PSA 10s is the right move? Just want your honest opinion for the long run. All right, so here's my honest opinion. First edition stuff is nice to have. It's a cool collectible. It's a nice piece to put on the shelf. Do I think that there are going to be a lot of things in the Pokemon TCG in the next 5 years that are going to outperform monetarily wise or percentage wise in the next 5 years? Yes. I think if you're looking at it for a collectible and you want to get them, yes, today's probably good pricing to jump in on those first edition hollows. If you want them for a collection piece, if you're thinking 20, 30 years down the road, yes, I think that they'll do really well in that time frame. But if you're looking for something to be as an investment for 3 to 5 years, even the next 8 to 10, I would probably be looking at other things other than first edition PSA hollows. That's just my opinion. To me, I think there's going to be some more turbulation on graded cards in general by the way that they've been handling things. Do I think that that's going to really knock the price? No. But I also think that there are better items, better products, better places to put your money in the Pokemon TCG currently than first edition hollows. I know someone that's very set on vintage and WotC is God that would absolutely refute that and fight me on it, but I just don't see it personally to put that kind of money into first edition holos currently. Rano, thank you so much for joining in. One Piece, best investment in TCGs right now. Yeah, I think that there's probably some really good speculation and some really good opportunities in One Piece. All of them are doing really well, as we showed. They are kind of dropping, but Bandai scares me, and it always will scare me from their performances on like Digimon and also on going into why am I drawing Dragon Ball Z. You know, they have a really good track history of making some really good sets, and then the next set's being an absolute flop because they just changed the way they do things. Hopefully they don't do that with One Piece. They seem to have found a really good rhythm with One Piece, but I think that it's always a concern that I'm going to have personally when Bandai runs the show. And it might be completely wrong. It's just, that's my feelings, and that's exactly something that just is in my own head, just because over the last 20 years of watching what they've done with TCGs, it's just very difficult for me to have comfort with them. IFOMO, I think the speculation is how hard demand will overpower supply. I saw it coming with OP5, but didn't expect a bubble. Yeah, I mean, that's always something to consider too. Speculation is definitely the demand will overpower the supply, and that's something that will continue to happen. But once again, Bandai's already talking major reprints on the last few sets. Where they go for those reprints is going to be interesting. Are they going to go all the way back to OP1? Or are they going to stop at like 2, 3 and move forward and get some of those higher performing items to drop in price again? Bandai won't be able to meet demand. Oh, Nijito, hi, thank you so much for joining. Trano, Bandai won't be able to meet demand up to 07, guaranteed. Not with the infinite new TCGs they seem to be releasing and all the new sets for each one. Then 2025 will get a live action OP season 2. So, yeah, and that could be very much the truth. I don't follow Bandai all that much. If you got other ones that they're completely building up, let me know, because I'm not 100% sure what other... I know, like I said, Digimon. I know that they do Dragon Ball Z, DBZ, and now they're doing One Piece. Are kind of their main flagship ones. I don't know what other little ones they're doing in between there, too. I'm sure that they've got other ones, just like a lot of the other, like Hasbro and all that, too. Let me see. So moving down, Tom, what's your outlook for the late Sword and Shield booster boxes? Oh, he's asking Trano. Let's see. Trano says, Astral trash, but low print may help price. Brilliant. Lost Origins, chilling. Fusion sets are best at affordable prices. Yeah, I'm with you. Right now, I'm really concentrating on Fusion, especially with the sellout. And I was talking about that as it went out of rotation. I actually bought six booster boxes off of Pokemon Center because the pricing was right and really good comparatively to the rest of the market. And on top of it, I was predicting that they would be selling out. That's just what they do typically as they go out of rotation, like Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Battle Styles. Battle Styles is going to take a while to shoot through that stock, I think, even on Pokemon Center. Battle Styles kind of runs streaks. It's kind of weird. Even for me selling individual packs, I'll get a night where people will just clean out Battle Styles, and then I'll sit on it for a month. Nobody will touch it. So it's just really interesting how Battle Styles is. It's like there's people out hunting for the Sleepy T-Tar or for one of the Urshifus, and they'll just buy a crap load of it trying to get it, or some of the full art trainers, and then all of a sudden they disappear and they just don't have interest in it, and it just sits and dies. So it'd be interesting to see on that how long that sits on Pokemon Center. Brilliant Stars is the next one too that I'm watching, a sellout on Pokemon Center, but I think that they're going to continue to hold some stock for a little while, at least on the last 4 sets. Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origins, and Silver Tempest are all still in rotation yet for the next year. So we do have one more year of rotation on those particular sets. So when they sell out, I think that each one of them is going to do extremely well. Astral is going to be the weakest. Silver Tempest is going to be the second weakest. Lost Origins and Brilliant Stars are the two that I think we're going to do the best out of those last 4 sets, and are kind of the higher priority than the other two. I personally prefer Astral over Brilliant Stars. I'm back and forth. I do like the Charizard. I like the Arceus Chase. I just don't see the strength in the Palkia or the Dialga. No matter what set that they're in, they just don't perform very well. Even Crown Zenith, they're not performing very well. And the Machamp just isn't very strong of a card either. I mean, there aren't too many that isn't too many people's fan favorite Pokemon. Overall, you got a Charizard and Brilliant. You've got an Arceus and Brilliant, which are fan favorite Pokemon. They're really good drivers on those particular sets. So in general, I tend to disagree with that. I mean, it's your personal preference, of course, but personally, I'm a Brilliant over Astral just because of the fact that it's got the Charizard and the Arceus inside of it. The Dialga and Palkia just aren't that strong of contenders comparatively. Let's see, Dialga. I mean, Dialga's good, but it's just not as strong as Arceus or Charizard. Let's see, Alternator Palkia is OP. Have 4 copies for fun. Let's see, Trano, but I'm not girthy enough. Top 20 hits to box cost ratio. Chilling Rain, 5.9 to 1. Evolving Skies, 4.3 to 1. Yeah, so he's got all the different ones. Moving on. iFOMO, isn't the Van Gogh Pikachu speculative? 12,000 copies graded in a matter of a month. That would be. That's another one. Like I said, these are things that are speculative still in the Pokemon market. And if you want to break it down and look at speculation versus investing, I would say a lot of like just your regular cards and things like that are very much just investing. But if you're talking about grading and these like very specialty promo products such as that, the Squirtle, you know, you've got the, like I said, the collection, the Pokemon Classic Collection. People ripped that open right away and graded a ton of those Charizards, and the price dropped extremely fast. That is all speculative, because then you're first to market, first to win, while everybody else just kind of loses ground, and it kind of moves down from that point. Let's see. I rolled and I went too far. There we go. Okay, now I'm back. Tom, I can't with the Charizard, but arts, but cool battle scene. Yeah, it is. Mason, thank you so much for Mason. Thanks for joining in. Come on, Andy. Give us another hour or two. Yeah. Yeah, I don't go that far, Mason. I don't want to bore people to death. And plus, I like getting into the chats here to discuss with you guys. James from the Alamo City. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining as always. Let's see, 20 minutes. Yeah, I do a 20-minute rant, and then I move on to discussing stuff in the chat, because you guys always have some really good information, some really good things to talk about, and I try and cover as much of it as I can, because you guys always have good discussion pieces down here, which usually fills up the rest of my hour. So, haven't had any problems with your guys' chats and discussions on where things are going in the current hobby. James from the Alamo City. Fusion Strike was sold out on Pokemon Center a few days ago and is available. I bought a couple booster boxes, and it's just a matter of time before it's gone for good. Agreed. I think that they're just kind of moving things. I'm guessing that they probably pulled it, tried to go to other distributors, and other distributors probably don't want it, so they put it back on Pokemon Center. They tend to do that with, it seems like, and I don't know the inner workings. This is just what I've seen that a trend is when they're available on Pokemon Center and then they go out of rotation, they seem to disappear off of Pokemon Center really quickly. And I think that they just try to send them to distribution and pull them out of the Pokemon Center website to make room for the current sets that are in rotation. That's just what my perception has been. So I don't think Fusion Strike is going to be on there very much longer. I think it'll sell out here shortly. But looking at the price advantages and how well it's done when it was sold out for just a couple days, it's definitely something to be looking at. It definitely took off again, just like Chilling Rain did the second it was pulled off of Pokemon Center. So I think that this is going to be a common trend. I think a lot of these later Sword and Shield booster boxes right now are currently held in restraint as long as, you know, this continues to move forward currently. And as they're in rotation and as they're available there, people don't want to go too far past it. We've seen them want to. Brilliant Stars was up to 183 before it retracked. We had Lost Origins pushing 166 to 170 on TCG Player at one point before it retracted. So they definitely want to go. But when you have an avenue that's able to sell it for $30 to $40 cheaper, why would you continue to buy it on TCG Player? So prices do retract. Out of the one person did say that if you're out of country and you want to buy Brilliant Stars, you have to buy it on TCG Player from international shipping, which might be a factor for why it did so well. And it was popular at that point in time. So that was one case that I've heard that's the reason it jumped up in price. But who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that can be moving in the background that nobody really sees. Once again, I see 19 people in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button too. Help out the stream and move it up a little bit. Let's see. I FOMO. I think speculation can turn into investment, but for better or for worse. And yeah, it can. Even those, Pikachu, Classic Collection Charizards and things like that, they will become investments eventually, as they're hot and people are chasing quick money, as there's a lot of market movement and fluctuations and things completely just dropping because they're chasing to the bottom. That's definitely a factor. And when they get to a certain point, people don't want to sell any longer. You're going to wait for that market, and that's the point in which they become investments. You're going to hold on to them long term. The quick dollar's gone. The overall growth isn't quite there any longer that you're looking for. It's not going up in any way, shape, and form. And you're just trying to potentially hold out for better pricing then. And then you're kind of potentially looking at investment. But even at that point, it's kind of speculation until you start seeing that gain and some track history on it. Because, if it's still going down and you're just holding it and you're hoping for better times, once again, you don't necessarily have that expectation of growth or upward or gains at that point in time. So that's definitely something to be looking at. At what point does it transition into an investment? That might be something, a really cool case study or something to really watch is when does something go from speculatory to an actual investment? There is a transition period at some point in there. I guarantee it. Because let's just talk about that from even base set. When I was first in it in 1999, I bought sealed cases or sealed booster boxes of all the sets. Why? Because number one, I thought they were cool. They were kind of a collection piece for me. But number two is that I always thought that there would be some value in them futuristically. That was complete speculation. There was no track history to Pokemon in 1999 when I was buying those booster boxes. All that I knew is that I felt like there would be some monetary value to these futuristically. It was a complete speculatory item. And number two, I did just like them for a collection piece. So once again, if you're buying, products and things and packs and things and cards, all these things are just sometimes the things that you want to have for your overall collection. And you don't care what the value is. Even those booster boxes, when I sold them in 2006, I made some money on them compared to what I bought them for. But if I had stayed in Pokemon, they would have been just cool display pieces for a long period of time. And monetarily, it didn't make any difference. At that point, I was making speculation that they would gain value, but had no evidence and no proof that it would do so. And it was all high risk. Every one of those booster boxes that I bought were literally a risk and speculating that they could be valuable. And that's probably when the transition period happens, is when it goes from, I'm guessing, even in Pokemon TCG, at some point it went from, okay, I don't know if these are going to make money. This is completely speculation that the value's there. But at some point in time, it switched to where, hey, yeah, you make value on a sealed booster box. You can buy any sealed booster box. And in 15 years, it's up in price. You're going to have monetary value in those. At that point, then it's an investment. You're no longer speculating because you have track history that it occurs time and time again. Let's see. James from the Alamo. Everyone, smash the like and sub. Yes, thank you so much, James, for that. Throwing that back out there. Greatly appreciated. Awesome to do that. I'm doing one thing here. Okay. Thank you so much for that from James from Alamo for throwing that up there. Yep, Fusion Strike is back. It's a great buy. I believe it's a great buy. You're doing Hunter x Hunter. Oh, okay. That I forgot about Hunter versus Hunter. Yep, you're right. I didn't know about that one. I forgot about it. So they will not be able to keep up. It's a guaranteed stoke. They've set themselves up for a stoke. Yeah. And that's just like Pokemon 2 taking on more countries and more languages. That's definitely a reason, too, that they believe in Japanese. They're falling behind sometimes on print rates is because they're doing so many different places at once. Trano, or iFomo, he says Union Arena, yeah. Trano, TCG, just grab 2 fusion cases as it's getting impossible to find in the UK for a good price. Yeah, and like I said, it's getting higher and higher here in the English, too. So in the United States, it's definitely becoming an issue in general. iFomo, not the most hyped animes, even though Leech is okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm going through. I don't know very much of that one in particular. iFOMO, just so you know, I follow certain animes, but I'm not a huge anime. I just don't have time to watch them all. There's just too many of them. Next Sword and Shield block out of rotation is April 6th, I think. Yeah, and that'll lose. So we'll lose Battle Styles. So the next rotation is April 6th. That will knock out Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, and Celebrations should all drop out at that point in time. So yeah, that's the next big flip in the rotation, and that will happen on April 6th. Mason could confirm that, but I'm 99% sure that's exactly where we're at. Catching up here, where we at? True iFOMO. iFOMO, have you seen the Thousands War Arc? No, I have not either. Okay, I'm trying to get caught up. Only watch 2. Okay. They're just talking back and forth. I'm trying to get up to... Okay, Wesley Jones. Thanks for joining. Greatly appreciated. Going back to Bandai. Would like to get your opinion on the new Union Arena TCG coming out in October 2024. Going to be similar to Weiss. I was going to look into it. I've heard about it now just recently, too. I haven't had time to really investigate that one. It's something I'm going to be looking into because I've been hearing good things about it from like the LCS and all that when I've been there this weekend. So they had a kind of a discussion on it on LCS because the LCS that I go to is really excited for it. But I haven't had much time to really investigate it personally myself, Wesley. So it's definitely something that I'm going to here in the near future. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Kami Hobby, let's talk One Piece. I don't talk much One Piece. I mean, I went through that investment video because I had a lot of people in general asking me what I thought about those investments and is it investable, where my position would be on it, what I see in it. So that's why I did the video I did. Typically, I stay away from like outside TCGs from Pokemon just because I'm really fluent in Pokemon. I'm really know a lot in the hobby just because I do so much in Pokemon. Between selling and buying and YouTube, talking about investments and talking to a lot of people in the lives and stuff like that. So I really do focus on it. But, you know, One Piece in general looks, as I've said in the video I did on Friday, definitely looks like it's decent. It's really going to depend on Bandai itself at this point in time. They have enough player base, and if the player base continues to grow like it's been doing, I see it doing really well. Like I said in the previous one, Bandai really tends to shoot themselves in the foot. And will they do that with One Piece? They've stayed pretty good. I mean, honestly, they've stayed very, very good on their track record currently, and they've been doing extremely well at keeping up with it and trying to maintain that same traction. So they're doing well. The fans are loving it. The overall growth of One Piece seems to be doing extremely well. Would I feel safe with putting a little bit of money into it? Yes, I'm okay putting a little bit of money into some of it, just to see how overall it performs in the One Piece market. Once again, I'm speculating. I have no track history. I don't know if Bandai can keep their stuff together. I don't know if in 5 years it will be successful. The first 5 years are always the hardest on TCGs. It's easy to come up with a new TCG that's really exciting and fun. Even One Piece has it. You know, when you're coming off of an IP such as One Piece, where it already has a huge anime forever, and overall, I know it's 26 years old now? 26 years of One Piece already out there. So it already has a huge player base when it comes down to it currently. There's two problems that I could see with One Piece, and I said this in the video. The number one is Bandai. Of course, I made that clear. Bandai scares me, and I'll always say that because Bandai has a really big problem with it. But when I sit there and talk about, you know, the other issue that I see with potentially One Piece is their market is of older people. They're people my age. So they're people, a lot of the players are people 30 plus. Going to the LCSs, every player that I think is there currently is 30 plus. It's not like Pokemon. It's not like Magic. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you're seeing people in their 20s playing it, and you're seeing people that are like 12. My son's age playing Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially. Magic has some people playing around their teens age. So those particular TCGs are continuing to get younger people in it. One Piece is a lot of old farts. and I hate to call myself an old fart, but I'm almost 40, so realistically, I'm an old fart now at this point in time to be in these hobbies, but still enjoying them. I won't ever diss it or say it's bad, but in general, you need to find a way to get younger people. One Piece's bigger problem in overall growth is, number one, continuing to make this One Piece grow and finding to continue keeping the franchise fresh. What happens in 3 years when people are not looking at things and trying to grow that actual next phase? Is this second season live action that you're talking about, is that going to be something they can portray into the TCG? Is that something that they can grow? Is that something that they can move forward? And is that something that more younger people might be interested in for the gameplay? So it comes down to the game players who can stay in it. Number two, the collectors. Can we get younger collectors into it as people get into their 30s? Are more and more of them going to be drawn to One Piece, and are they going to have enough of a draw factor to bring people into it? Those are all questions that One Piece is going to have to answer. Pokemon has continued to do it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has continued to do it. And Magic has continued to do it. That's the bigger step for any of these new TCGs. Even Lucana, they got to find a way. They got a lot of young people, though. That's the one thing I do like about Lucana over even One Piece is they have a lot of women. They have a lot of young children, girls around the ages of 10 to 15 playing. So they do have that younger group and older group all playing in it. And it's a new market. It's something that has not unprecedented, unseen in a TCG, is that the fact that more women and girls play Lucana than men, which is an interesting change, and it's kind of cool to see. Or even boys. I mean, young males and boys down to that 9-year-old range plus. I mean, we just don't see that girls at that age level playing in even Pokemon. It's just not that common. It happens, but it's not very common compared to, like, the last time I was at the LCS, they had, I want to say there's probably about 15 to 16 people playing Lurkana that day. And out of the 15 to 16 people, 12 of them were of the female side of things. So, I don't know, they were women. So, they had actually that market going for them. So, about over 50% of them were actually women and girls playing Lurkana, which is a very interesting aspect. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform too. So the next 5 years are really going to be telling on One Piece. Would I speculate and put a little money into some of these first set booster boxes? Absolutely. I think that there's really good value and really good opportunity in them. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to keep rolling it into the next one. Moving on now. We've got Chris. So Chris Silk, thank you so much for joining in. Views on 151 Scarlet and Violet boxes unopened. So are you looking at the Japanese or the English version of like the ETBs? The ETBs are going to take some time. I think that 151 is going to be really good. I think overall it's going to be a really good set. Even futuristically, you're going to have people all ages chasing 151 in the English version. The Japanese version, personally, I think is going to be a little bit better just because of the fact that they have that Master Ball chase and the hollow or reverse hollow Pokeballs. I think that was a perfect option to put on them for Pokemon 151, and it's definitely a big gain overall for the Japanese market on that particular one. I wish we got that in English. If I would have seen that in English, I would have eaten the crap out of that set. I probably would have bought double what I did, but I put more money into the Japanese 151 than I have in the English just because of the fact that the English version is missing some of the chases that come in the Japanese that I think will be a long-standing fun chase in those particular boxes. Trano, all the new Bandai IPS being released into an encompassing TCG or separate? That's an interesting question. Into an encompassing TCG or separate. I think that it's all separate currently, but I could see how they could potentially band all those IPs together eventually. Mikey Walt, thank you for joining. Which case hits 200 first? Brilliant Stars or Lost Origins if you had to guess? Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars has already shown the ability to go up to 180, 185. So far, Lost Origins is kind of stalled out right around 160, 165. So even with the being available on Pokemon Center, we still saw Brilliant Stars push harder and further. The number 2 advantage is that, in theory, Brilliant Stars will sell out of Pokemon Center first. So that's going to give them another advantage also. I'm confused. Good question, Trano. So let's see. We're going to go down to James from the Alamo. Andy, let's say you had $500 and you had 2 options. 1, buying 5 151 Pokemon Center ETBs, or 2, buying 1 Evolving Skies booster box. Which one would be the better long-term investment value and price-wise? Oh boy. That is a very interesting question. Personally, I like having more boxes. So I would probably go with 151 personally. Reason being is that even if, technically if let's just say the Evolving Skies box moves 10% in the next 2 years, and the Pokemon Center ETBs, move a total of, 8, you still have 5 of them going at 8% gains, which means potentially you could see more growth. The other part is that the Pokemon 151, the reason I like them a little better, they're newer, and the fact that they've accelerated so well being new has been a really good eye-opener for the actual Pokemon Centers. Now, the one worry I have about Pokemon Center ETBs is, are they going to reprint them? That's the question you have to ask. If you feel that they are going to stay true to keeping them more exclusive in Scarlet and Violet, then you're good. If you feel that they could go back to Sword and Shield ways and start printing more of them, I would go with the Evolving Skies booster box. So that's what I mean. It's kind of it's a tough question. It really depends on how you do your analysis on that one. Personally, I would go with the 151 Pokemon Centers. I don't know if they're going to reprint those too much. If I didn't have any stock in either one, then I would probably go that direction with the $500. Just because you're putting money on more products versus all on one. And there's more opportunity for growth with 5 and then there is on 1. So that's just my personal feelings on that particular scenario. Let's see. FOMO, it's not a kid's... No, it's not. I understand that. But that's also part of their problem. I know that One Piece is not a kid's anime, nor should kids be watching that. But it's also a situation where that anime has grown with people my age and continue to move up, even down in their 30s. And that's what we're seeing on the actual collecting and also on the, playability side on that particular ones. So let's see. Gimbo Slice, thank you for joining in. Have you been buying the 151 Booster Bundle restock? I did get some. But they sold out really fast on the places I was going. So I ended up getting, I believe, 2 cases. I think I got the second case. I'm trying to remember if I got 2 or 3. I was trying to get a third one. I think it sold out before I got there, and I was going to go search around for another place. But I got 2 cases of those 151 booster bundles for sure. I just don't know. I don't think I got the third one. I have to double check. I'm pretty sure it sold out before I got it, and it was confusing because it got all the way through the processing, and then it said it wouldn't process, but then it said it did, and then I got an email saying that it was sold out, and then I got to go back and check on that one, so I'm hoping I got it. I'd like to get 3 cases of that, but I don't know for sure if I will. Basic Trainer, thank you so much for coming in. Should I invest in MetaZoo now that it is... if you believe in dead TCGs, Basic Trainer, or if you believe someone is going to pick up the MetaZoo name and IP, then yes. If you believe that as a dead TCG, it could perform very well and not perform like G.I. Joe, then yeah, I mean, it could do really well. But in general, I personally, I'm not buying the dip on MetaZoo. I think I'm going to let that one slide. Let's see. Give a slice, rest in peace, MetaZoo, I know. Chris Silk, appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Yes, you're very welcome. TKK Collectors, hey, nice to see you in the chat. Hey, Northwoods, nice to catch you live. All hit that like. Yes, please do hit the like. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, TKK Collectibles, for jumping in. James from the Alamo City, good take, Andy. Have more stock is better. Thanks. Trano, best option out of these 2 is neither. Yeah, personally with Trano, either one. I mean, it's a scenario situation where if you only had two options, I do that. But I'm with Trano, and I wouldn't really be going personally as an investment. I'm not looking at either one of them currently. I got the PCs from Pokemon Center. They're doing well. I've got my stock in Brilliant Stars. It's already gone through. I mean, I've already had that for a long period of time. So, if you're new to investing, this is your first day in, then it's a good scenario, but there are a lot better options, I believe, out there currently in the investing spectrum. If you look around, that could see a lot better performance in general on investing side. TKK Collectibles 151, more growth potential. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. That's why I would go with it. I see it outperforming of Evolving Skies right now. If you go from start to finish, Evolving Skies has probably a better growth rate and probably will have a better growth rate. But if you're jumping in today in today's market, 151 has better growth rate currently than Evolving Skies. Frano, but definitely a close call. Yeah. I FOMO 100%. James from the Alamo City. They never did a reprint on Crown Zenith ETBs other than one or two drops after the release. I think Crown Zenith is really fun. They actually did do a reprint. I was able to pick up another case of them for retail. My distributor Access had them. They had them back up on theirs. So it just didn't seem like MJ Holding took them. I don't know what their deal was. I never saw them in Walmarts and Targets or GameStops, but they were available. Like my LGS, they got like 10 or 12 cases of them on that reprint that they had back in, what was it, November, December when they dropped them. So they got a decent amount, but they just didn't show up in the big box stores, which I thought was really interesting. Basic Trainer. Yeah, I know. So sorry, dude. I know you love Metazoo. I don't wish that on anybody, but continue to play it. It's fun. If you guys enjoy it, continue to play. There's nothing that says you can't play a TCG that's out of business. If you enjoy it, continue to do it. James from Alamo City. Interesting now that the yellow borders are gone. Most missed them. I guess that Pokemon, you can't miss something until it's gone. The stock since the SB era started has been familiarized along with the QC. Yeah, and that's it. For me, I was always not on the gray borders line. I always wanted them to continue to make yellow borders. I always felt that there were places where they could have used the gray borders to have better, I want to say better characterization. So like the trainer galleries and stuff like that would have been a lot better. Because even a good example I always have is that I would rather have the Japanese Hoot Hoot versus the English Hoot Hoot, because it just looks like junk with the yellow border. It really distracts from the artwork of that particular card. And it's the same, like the Galarian Articuno from the Japanese from Crown Zenith versus the English version. They made it into a promo, but even the yellow border sucks compared to the silver border of the Japanese. So in general, there were places that I felt that they could really emphasize the yellow borders and leave the classic feel to like the commons, the uncommons, even the hollow rares and that kind of stuff. And then when they got up to the ultra rares and better, switch to silver because it's just less distracting. On like the trainer galleries, the radiant cards, all that, it was very distracting with the yellow borders from the art versus the Japanese version definitely having a really clean look to them where the art was the focus, not the border. So there was places they could have switched it and done it better. But I'm not a big fan of losing them yellow borders personally. I would have rather kept them. Basic Trainer. Swami said he doesn't care for Metazoo, but he will always be nostalgic for it because he tried it to a crazy time in our hobby. Could this be the case? It's behind the heart. I can't see it. Okay, years from now. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Basic. You could actually have success. We've had some successful dead TCGs. There's some Star Wars ones that do extremely well. There's other ones that have done extremely well that are considered dead TCGs. They're no longer produced, and the company no longer makes them, nor have they any real idea of doing so. In 10 years from now, there could definitely be some nostalgic factors to it. But there again, it's a really high risk. You're going back to that speculating like we were talking about earlier. You're making a huge speculation with a very high risk. And if you enjoy the hobby and you don't mind having booster boxes around and product around for a long period of time, with very little value potentially, or never get value, then yeah, if you just want to open it and have fun in 20 years, go for it. But in general, it's just really hard to move up and really step into a large amount of that. If you wanted to buy like one booster box of each type of MetaZoo and just put them away for the price right now, why not? I mean, what, $18 to $30 for a booster box of MetaZoo? You're not out much just by buying one of each if you wanted to and just sitting on it. I mean, there's no gain, there's no loss. It's all potential. It's just whether or not that potential will have realization or not. That's the real question. And some people say that it will just because of the fact that it's nostalgic. Some people say that the IP will be bought up or taken over by someone else. You know, I don't know if I see that personally happening with MetaZoo, just because the more and more you break down that IP, like we've discussed in other places, that IP is really a shell. You're really only buying artwork. Even the names on the cards really aren't locked in the IP. They're just common, or they're just open market names. Bigfoot, you can't trademark the name Bigfoot. It's an open market. I mean, there's nothing stopping another TCG from just going and making cryptids. And even while MetaZoo was in place, that was the point people were making. MetaZoo could have been copied just with a different name, because the cryptids are they're not copyright protected. They really don't have any actual IP except for the MetaZoo logo, the name, any assets that they had, any stock that they had, and then on top of it also having just the artworks. So the artist artworks are really what was in the IP. So I don't know. I just don't see anybody wanting to take on the name and the hassles when they could just rebuild an IP with the names of Bigfoot and Mothman. All of them are just public domain, so there's nothing stopping anybody from just making cards, new artwork for it. Beanie Babies still have value. Actually, I just pulled. So as dumb as it sounds, I have Beanie Babies, and I've been pulling them out, and actually, it's crazy how much this will. Yeah, unless you actually sit there and look at them, there are actually some really good value in some Beanie Babies, which is kind of crazy considering they were so high. But you look at the age, and realistically, it's not. Is this thing still working? Let me know, you guys. Is this still? It's giving me all kind of. This YouTube right now is just being all weird. But hopefully it's still holding out. Hopefully it's still working okay. It's showing all right. So, but yeah, like I said, there are some really interesting Beanie Babies that are holding value and going up in value. The Princess Diana one is really shooting in value currently, which is really cool and interesting to see. And in general, like I said, it's just really cool to see some of those old ones, because that's one of them that I kept in a bag. Maybe if I get spunky, I'll pull out some of the Beanie Babies. I have them. I put them away in a sealed bag, like one of those vac bags that are airtight, and I actually put them away, and they're actually saved. And I've got a whole bunch of them that we bought them when we were kids, and I got the book with the assessed value of them, and it's just kind of funny that I actually kept them in the sealed bags to see what they would do. Once again, I think the funny thing is that I speculated in a lot of weird things, and some of them work and some of them don't, but it is what it is. And that's the part with speculating, is that you're going with. I got a lot of like those, I don't know if anybody remembers, 2008 to 2012, they had those metal tins with like game fuel in them. So they had like the Halo collection metal tins. They were aluminum cans with Halo print on them. I have those. I've kept them sealed. They have Pepsi. They had some different football players on Pepsi cans, and I have a bunch of those. And once again, it's just the way I am. I keep a lot of things sealed just because I'm fine with keeping things closed up. And number one, they're cool for collection, they're fun to have, but they're not necessarily something that I'm going to lose sleep over if they don't gain value. But if they do, even better. So once again, guys, we're at the hour long. I've gotten through all the questions tonight, so thank you everybody for stopping out. Greatly appreciated, as always, on a nice little Tuesday night here. Last 2 weeks going, hump day tomorrow. Oh, we got one more question for James. So we'll hit James here. James from the Alamo. Thoughts on Paldean Fates long term? Definitely better than Shining Fates. Hope they don't print it to the ground like they did with Shining Fates. I agree. I think that personally, Paldean Fates is better than Shining Fates. I think overall, the baby shinies are better. They got a better selection of baby shinies. The set in general is a little bit stronger. It's a little bit better overall for the artwork to it in it too, because you do have still have some SARs and things like that that draw attention to it that Shining Fates doesn't. But long term, I see it doing really well. Like I said, I'm just concerned that we're going to see Shining Fates 2.0 or Hidden Fates 3.0, where they just print it to death and they just keep printing. Let the printer die. Just print so much. Because I can still find Shining Fates on the shelves at Walmart. I mean, the Pikachu boxes are still all over the place. There's like a dozen ETBs at the one Walmart that have just been chilling there. Nobody's even buying Shining Fates anymore. They're just all passing it up because it's been there so long, because they just kept releasing and releasing and releasing. And that's just the fact that, I hope they don't do that with Paldean Fates. I hope that they hold the printer back. But I also have concerns that they won't do that and then it'll just go crazy. So we'll see. Overall, I think it will do well. I think it's going to be one of those sets that's just going to take time if they do overprint it, just like Shining Fates. Realistically, Shining Fates has been pretty resilient to the overall reprints. I mean, it's dropped down to $40, and then it always rebounds back up to $50, $55 pretty quickly, or at least stays above $40 compared to other sets that just get completely destroyed and just never come back from them reprints. So, yeah. I think that there's potential. It's just going to be a matter of time on that particular set, and I think it will do well. I think there's some really good value, really good cards in it, some really good baby shinies that'll do well, like Charmeleon, Charmander. You got the Pikachu and all those inside of there, which will do really well. Basic Trainer. Something tells me Pokemon people will be buying MetaZoo in 10 years. Pokemon collector number are at an all-time high, and with very limited points in MetaZoo, then the market's going to go crazy. Just saying, it could be. Like I said, I've contemplated buying each one of the booster boxes of MetaZoo, even me being a pretty hard Pokemon guy, and I always said I'd go to Magic next, but overall, no, I could see buying a few boxes of MetaZoo, maybe 2 of each set, and just letting them sit. Worst case scenario is that I'm going to open a Hello Kitty with my daughter. I mean, what's the worst case that we have on that one? So, yeah, once again, you're definitely right. I could see Pokemon people broadening out and buying a dead TCG just because of the fact that it's so cheap. And there's very low risk for it. I mean, if you're not concerned about losing a couple $100 on a TCG just to say you've got a few of them, it's definitely not going to be a bad deal overall. So, well, guys, I am at my hour, and I always try and keep this an hour for my wife. So, once again, guys, thank you, everybody. Next week, we'll be doing Choose Your Path. We'll have Java Akuma on here, so we'll have a little bit of Coffee Devil on here. So, he'll be on here Tuesday talking about his path and what he has done in the Pokemon TCG. The interesting thing about Java is that we'll probably talk about it during live, is that he actually is from right next to me in Hayward. So, we were laughing about that when we were talking beforehand, or talking on another stream, is that he's from Hayward and I'm from Radisson, and they're only like 30 miles away from each other. So we actually grew up really close to each other. So really kind of a funny story on that one. And then the following week, we're actually going to have Terry Lake on here. So a little bit different step, but I wanted to talk to Terry because he's been an accountant. He has a lot of business background and history of starting businesses, running businesses. He's been a tax accountant. So he's got some really good information, and we're going to have some scenarios for Terry. It's not going to be a Choose Your Path necessarily, but it's actually going to be a discussion on how to start a business. So if you're in the Pokemon TCG and you're curious on what steps you need to take, or what would be the best options for you in the Pokemon TCG as a business for taxes, and what licensing you should go for, and what you should be looking at, that's why I'm bringing Terry in. His experience in that is probably some of the best that I've heard, and I think it would be really good to come up with 4 or 5 scenarios. And if you could, go on desk. Terry's hiding on here. He's been hiding in the background. So yeah, like I said, we're going to give him some, we're going to put Terry to the test and have him give us his knowledge and see which way he would build a business or start it out based on the different directions. So that's one thing I was going to ask you guys too. If you could, either do it on Discord, or I will put up a community post. If you guys are currently in the hobby or having a question on that, I'm going to put it in the comments in both. please let me know so that, Terry can maybe get a heads up on it on the comments on the community page, or if he joins Discord, then he could see it there too. And that way he could have a little heads up, and we'll use some of those as scenarios. Because, everybody's got a different situation. I'm going to use some really general ones that a lot of people are doing, but, some people have some real specialized ones that maybe I'm not seeing and you have questions on. I think it'd be a really good way of helping you guys out and definitely giving you a direction for which way that would be best for you starting up, or to utilize some of the things that are out there when it comes down to, building a business and possibly the taxes that go along with it and how to go forward with that. So yes, I can't wait either, Terry. I think that's going to be really good information. So once again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for the following Tuesdays. So that's what we got for the next 2 Tuesdays. So it's really going to be a lot of lives here coming up for 2 in a row. So other than that, guys, like I said, we're going to shut her down for tonight, just as always, here at about 9 o'clock. Still got to do my editing, and I'm going to go hang out with my wife here before she goes to bed. And other than that, we'll have our video tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be talking more. So the video I did for tomorrow is going to be talking more about investors in Pokemon. Are they detrimental? And what are some of the issues and good things about investors in the Pokemon hobby and what it truly means? So we'll be having that video tomorrow. Friday's video, I'm going to record that tomorrow. I'm not sure. I've got like 3 different options for that, but I'll pull one out and I'll get it recorded and then get it edited for Friday. But yeah, that's kind of the lineup currently. And then, like I said, we got Java Akuma next Tuesday for the live for Choose Your Path. And like I said, Terry's coming on too. So greatly appreciated, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. I saw a fantastic cast of individuals in the chat. So thank you so much for joining me. Great questions. Some really good scenarios that were brought up. And in general, like I said, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time here. And then we'll see you live on Tuesday with Java Akuma. So thank you very much. We'll see you on Tuesday.